It may seem kind of counterproductive or counterintuitive to take an hour of the time you could be working to learn how to work more efficiently and more effectively. But today I'm going to listen to someone right here on a Fusion 360 tutorial.
And we're live. So good afternoon, everybody.
I'm going to take this tutorial right here. It's on the Autodesk Fusion 360 YouTube channel. And then I can just use this to kind of model everything and make sure that my modeling is up to snuff and that I can do it well. He is modeling a joystick, a nunchuck controller for a Wii, and this will be really helpful. I'm gonna struggle along follow along and then see what tips he uses for forming, because I want to have the best form I can make. Without further ado, let's start to do.
3 types of geometry: faces, edges, vertices. 3 ways to manipulate it, and that's move or translate, rotate, and scale. Double click on any edge, it'll grab the entire loop. Just a quick and easy way to make sure that you get kind of a continual selection of edges that goes until it terminates in your sculpt geometry. The amount of faces that you use in the form workspace is paramount. You have to pay attention to the topology of your object and how many faces you have. The best tip that anyone has ever given me, and I can pass on to you, is that when in doubt, start with less. You can always add more later. It's a lot harder to make manipulations and capture, especially broad form, when you have many faces, right? Good curves create good surfaces. And the same rules apply here that apply to creating sculpted objects, and that's keep them light wherever you can, right? So I'm gonna come in here, I might think, boy, this is a complex shape, I should come in and build a bunch of curves to try to more closely match that shape. But one thing that you'll see, and you can also come in here and use the curvature comb to take a look at the result, is that it's not going to give me a very great result.
Okay, this is a really important part that I didn't realize. You can create most curves with just a point, a middle point, and an end point, and then move the handles to affect the spline. So that's something that I really wanted to start doing a lot more. Is moving the spline handles just to make sure that the curvature is as good as I can get it with as few points as possible. Well, I just finished the sculpting a Wii controller. The main points that he was using are that you can use the match feature right here, and then you can get an edge, and then you can match the profile to the edge. I think it might be really helpful to just draw a few profiles and then go off of those. Another one he used was weld vertices, and then weld vertices you can use to have like a surface and then another surface and just kind of go and put them together. So we have this canvas right here. I'm gonna get it again roughly to shape, but this time I'm gonna see if I can get away with using less forms. And I'm actually even gonna try to use a cylinder instead. I think that the cylinder will do a lot better just because it's a cylinder. Of course, this is parametric modeling, so if I make a change to this, and then it'll be changed down the road. But that can lead to errors and stuff like that. So I wanna get it the best I can right now, and I'll deal with the rest later. The thing I really don't like about the box is the front. It kind of has that billet, which I could deal with, but I don't want to. I'm gonna start a cylinder. I'll kind of try to catch this geometry a little bit. And now the pressure is on, my dudes. So right here, we'll want this. I'm thinking we only want a few boxes, or like squares, because less is more, my dudes. Keep saying that. I wonder if we can get away with 4 diameter faces. I might try less, might try more. I want to have 8 faces. It is confirmed. 8 faces, count them. That'll let me split it right down the bottom and right down the side. But I really want to have geometry right here and right here. So I'm gonna make myself have 8 faces, and that'll just hopefully make it easier. Just kind of try to get it all situated. We're gonna try to have this be right here so that the firewall aligns pretty nicely, and I'll fix this later. And that looks good so far. Now I'm gonna move this and just shrink it down now. And I want this to be roughly there. Oh no, what have I done? I forgot symmetry. Shoot. Oh, I didn't! Hooray! Since I've been moving the circles themselves, it's been moving the entire circle, but I really need to turn on symmetry. Symmetry is really important because everything needs to be symmetrical, I think. These two are going to be symmetrical. Okay, so with symmetry basically makes it so that if I select this one is selected as well. But yeah, this gives us a little wavy pattern because the shell goes up and then back down. This is supposed to be normal, I think. If I was Bob Ross, I would say, like, just make happy little accidents and it'd be all right or something. But I'm not, so I'm not gonna copyright infringe that. Just, yeah, try to follow the line. If you can't follow it, you're probably just bad at designing and should give up. So, here we go. If we turn off the canvases, this is what our beautiful Cessna 172 looks like. Oh dear. Let me turn on my first body. I will give it points because it's a lot more smooth than the last one. This one looks a lot more like it came from Minecraft. This one looks like a goose. Neither of these look like a Cessna 172, but we're trying, definitely. We're doing a whole lot of that. It's looking more and more like a Cessna, but at the same time, less and less. It's really surreal. Who wouldn't want to fly in something that looks like this? It actually kind of looks like a Cirrus, or a crop duster, one of the two. So looks like we're good. Come back tomorrow.
Start with a flat object and then build from there. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to use a tool called Match. And what Match allows you to do is take a T-spline edge and match it to a target. And in this case, I'm going to match it to a curve that was already pre-existing. You'll see when I do that, it's going to go ahead and take that edge and kind of suck it to the curve that I created.
The match tool is very cool because you can take a line over here and then match it to this line over here. So you can just go over to match and then select what you want to match. And it tries its best to match the geometry. So you'll see it's a little weird right here, but this is basically what you can do. We could even try that with different edges, say some closer edges, to kind of just see what result you get. And it automatically shifted everything up so that it would match that edge. This is a lot easier than going in and moving each individual peak up and then seeing how you can get it. It just shoved everything up to match the line. We could even try this again with this line over here and see what result we get here. You'll see that that basically just shoved everything so that it hit this edge, or kind of caught that edge. Another very cool tool you can use is weld vertices. Right here, you'll see that I can just weld this vertice over to here, say. So if you weld vertices together, they're put together, and you can make a few cool shapes with this. So you could say this goes to this, and then those weld together, or you could even say this goes to this, and those weld together. You can do a lot of cool things that really mess it up. You'll see we even have a cooler shape now. I'm going to try to use some of these techniques in my designing, and then hopefully we can get a final draft. I am still pretty new to these, so I think I'm just going to actually practice a little more in here, just kind of get used to them a little bit, and then transfer them to the version 5 simulator. Wow, it's a lot of versions. Oh well. I'm basically now going to go from version 3, take this model out, and then use those sketches we already have all nicely laid out from video 1. And then from there, I can start forming, and this time I'm going to form more in 2D than 3D. I'm hoping this works out. Wow, it's already version 5, that's exciting. I think it's smartest for me to start with a few sketches that just give it all of the geometry. I was initially thinking of taking these sketches from here that I already did, but I realized that they just have so many points that they're not really going to be the best for using. I use a lot of spline tools, and I would really like to minimize these so I can get the cleanest result. So now I'll just make the bottom sketch, the side sketch, and the front sketch, kind of like I did in the first video, but this time better. I made this with like 8 lines instead of the, I think, 10 or 11 I used before, which really makes this a lot simpler, and simple is good in this case. What? That's awesome. Okay, what I did right here was I made this entire thing off of 2 lines. Well, technically 3 if you count the top one. But I have one spline up here, and then another down here, and I completely replicated this geometry with only 2 splines. That I thought was impossible at the start, but now I realize it's plausible. Just adjust the handles until it's all good to go. So now I have these 3 sketches that I just made very simply using the T-spline edges. In fact, if I even edit one, you can see these little handles that you just manipulate, and you can make all sorts of curves. And I'm actually really excited because these look good. They're nice and smooth and sharp, and I think they all even line up pretty well. Now I'm going to go into the form workspace. I know we've been in the forms workspace a lot, so this time let's try to make it not painful. I don't know. To start, we're just gonna create a few planes, just some flat things, and then we'll kind of gingerbread house it together. So we'll have the top part, the bottom part, and hopefully it'll all just kind of go along with what we want. Executive decision. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with a sweep. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but we're gonna try. We don't want this to sweep down because it'll just shrink that and then grow that as it kind of just gets larger. But we might want... Actually, I got nothing. Oh, brilliant. I think it might be helpful to extrude. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to make 8 edges. Count them. And what I can do is just go to extrude in here. And then this will just extrude edges. Let's see. I'm going to try the first way I was thinking about doing initially, where I was just going to match everything. We're going to see how that goes. If it goes horribly wrong, we'll try more of the extrude. 4 faces here, 8 faces here, I think. Let me turn on symmetry. Then we're going to try to match these edges to right here. No. Let's try that again. It looks lovely, but it is really not what I wanted. Oh! What I can try, though, is I can try welding vertices. So I can weld this over to here. I can't do that, can I? I really have no clue what's happening. think it's trying its best, but I really can't tell yet. I'm going to try the sweep command just to see where it goes. I'm going to try it here and then along this path. Right here. Maybe it'll... Ooh. Wow. That is not what I was expecting. Let's try the opposite way. It looks like a transformer though. That's kind of nice. Ooh, that's fancy. One of the errors I made right here is that I forgot to turn off select chain edges. So instead of selecting one of the little lines, it selects the entire thing, however much it can. So try to turn this off first and then try to do things, because this can really mess with things. It'll try to go to everything and just instead of just one edge. So try to disable select chain edges if possible, and also start by just making a half simulator so you don't have to worry about symmetry and getting everything constrained properly. I'll talk about this in a few minutes. I think I'll try extrude. Yeah. Okay, what I think I'm going to do right now is extrude this from both sides symmetrically. And then what I think I'm going to do is make it match this little sketch here. So I think that should do it. This reminds me of the first episode where I just extruded everything, but this one should be different, hopefully. Let's see if we can't take this side, this profile here, and then match it over to this profile. Invalid input, so that doesn't look like it liked that. What if we try less? What if we just try this to here? Okay, didn't like that either. I was making fun of the loft command a little bit ago, but I think it might be really useful. I think I might know where I'm going. Whew, this is awesome. So what I'm going to do right here is create a plane. On this plane, then I'm going to have it 8 faces here and 16 faces here. That'll just allow me a lot of faces to kind of play with. I know this directly contradicts what I said before. It's just to try. I'm going to minimize it later. And then I'm going to match this entire line right here to this profile right here. I know it looks a little chaotic, but that's because I just made it too wide. But you'll see right here, it's pretty nicely using this geometry. I'll even try again with a plane that's skinnier. And then this matched up pretty well, I'm gonna say. I kind of got a little bit stuck here. To be completely honest, I'm gonna go watch a few more videos to kind of refresh, and then I'll get back to you. So I did a lot of thinking and figured out it's probably not best to just kind of figure it out. I should probably get some more detail in this. You'll see that even with version 1, it's not very, I guess, detailed because I didn't have a lot of sketches. You'll see I only had 3 faces to give it its form, and that really didn't work very well. Right here, again, I have the same 3 faces, the same 3 profiles, and so I'm gonna get pretty similar results. To add more faces and more profiles, I'd like to give a shout out to Onko, who said that he uses wooden RC planes kind of models, and then he gets those and draws them in 2D kind of, and then you can get the real shape of things. So huge shout out. And I found a few Cessna 172 plans online that you can download for free, and they have these little sections right here which are brilliant, and these little supports are about the size of a Cessna 172. They kind of did most of the math for you. I'll just have to change them a little bit to make them suit my needs. I think this is the most realistic of the Cessnas I found, but there's also this one, and there's also this one. This one is probably another realistic one. What I can do is download these plans, and then insert them as a canvas. So now that I have these plans downloaded, I can zoom into them, and then use these as sketch geometry. Woohoo! I'm gonna try using the form workspace some more, and just use these as some kind of things I match it to. We'll see how that goes, and if it doesn't go well, I can take another approach. I'm very flexible, okay, maybe not that flexible. I'm going to outerzone.co.uk, and then you can find these plans, download them, and see how everything works. There's also another site, aerofred.com, where I'm finding this one. The link to both of these is in the description below, unless I forgot, which is kind of ridiculous. So now what I can do is download this plan, and I'm going to see if I can't download a few other ones too. This one looks really good. I really like how the profiles are shown very clearly here, and it looks like they're spaced pretty evenly. This one looks pretty good, except for if you'll look at my model, I'm building a Cessna 172 that has this slope right here, whereas this is more, I guess, like, there's not that slope. It also has the straight tail instead of the hot looking one. I don't know. Ooh, Cessna 172F. This is probably the most modern one we see right now, so we're gonna try this one out. Hey, look at this. We have the section 5 right here, which will be really helpful because we don't have that. We have section 3, we have section 2. This might be extremely helpful. And it looks like this is even drawn to scale, so we can see kind of how everything would go together. This one, I think, might be really helpful. It is in not a language I know, I think French. We're gonna kind of look through these plans and then see which one is the best. Oh, another executive decision I'm making, I'm full of them, is that I'm actually just gonna start by designing only half of the Cessna. It'll just be 2 parts that I put together, and then that'll save a lot of time in the design process because I won't have to constantly worry about symmetry and getting everything together exactly how it should be. Anyways, that should be really helpful because in the real Cessna 172, it's basically symmetrical in terms of structure. It's like a little bird like this. I did a little bit of RC digging with my little RC shovel, and then I found 5 models that'll probably work for my purposes. And I can just put these into Fusion 360 real quick as a canvas, and then compare and contrast which one looks the best, and then go off of those little faces and kind of use either loft commands or use just arm grease, strong juice, elbow grease. I'm honestly really proud of these plans. They look almost exactly like the ones I'm using right now, so I think these ones will probably be the most accurate for my purposes. I'm just gonna take screenshots of all of these and compare them. Let's get started. Let's insert all of these as canvases, and then we'll scale them up, of course. And I think I decided that the views and text simulator canvas is the best one because it just replicates my simulator pretty elegantly. You'll see right here. It even gets this pretty correctly. It's really weird how if I turn on all of the canvases here, how chaotic it gets. I'm gonna go over to the plans and maximize these. Just get a giant screenshot of them, kind of. So let's go over and do that. I'm gonna save these with the numbers just to make sure that they don't get lost in space. This right here brings up a brilliant point. How am I going to scale these little tiny images up? I have two ideas. One of them to just take this diagram right here in Fusion 360 and take the dimension from here to here and set that to the height. But my second idea is to use this grid paper right here to find a dimension. So I could say there are 5 grid papers and each grid paper is like 2 inches or whatever. And then scale the grid paper up to the Cessna. This project is really interesting for me because the more I do it, the less confident I get in my decision. Now I think I want to go back to lofting. Everyone, I have an announcement to make. It is amazing. So on these RC plans, you'll notice that there's this line right here. This line is what they call the water line, I think, in the POH. Not entirely sure, but it's the line that goes straight through the tip of the propeller. And what I didn't realize was that there was also something right here. There's this little line that hangs off of here and shows you where it is in relation to the water line. This might be really helpful because I can say from that water line up a little bit is the origin. So that's just another reference point that I get to use. We're just going to ignore section 6 and section 7 because they are aft of however much we want. We only want this little section here that's highlighted, this profile. Happy canvassing. Is that a thing you say? We're gonna save res 6 and res 7, just kind of for redundancy, honestly. I also have to level with you here. I saved this to the downloads folder like I always do because I'm a hideous person, instead of my beautiful organization system. So I think I already failed being organized, but there's always time to improve. Promise, I fixed it. I'm gonna keep using my organization system because every time I use it, it's just so much more organized and it's so much easier to just keep track of everything. Don't give up hope yet. There's still time. So right here we have this simulator and we also have where the firewall is. You'll notice right here we have a lot of conflicting dimensions, which is really pretty typical because this is not a from Cessna certified dimensionally accurate Cessna 172. It is a random RC plan I found online. The reason I'm using an RC plan is because I really want to have tangible profiles. Someone basically did all the modeling for me and just took these sections right here, and then they have these sections you can use for kind of lofting it all together. So I'm going to try to use these if I can.